bringing you hot, smoldering topics on a weekly basis. Your participation is important.
It's good to be back, and welcome to yet another edition of The Burning Issue. This is the Tuesday edition. We are grateful that you found time to hang on to the waiting of the program to come. We sincerely apologize for bringing this particular edition quite late. This was due to circumstances beyond our guests' control. But however, the guest is finally in studio and we are on with the program. We are also live on our partner radio stations. Tuta FM is one of them on 90.7 in Mansa, covering the rest of Luapula province. Also live on Spice FM radio in Kabwe on 91.1, covering Central Province. We are also live in Ndola on Platinum Radio, that is on 99.7. And also, don't forget, you can follow our conversation on our Facebook page. We are live on 5FM Radio Zambia. I'm your host, Zachariah Banda. Remember that this program comes your way every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And later in the course of the program, I'll give you an opportunity to call in and interact with our guest. And let me take this opportunity to introduce our guest this morning. It is the UPND Deputy Media Director, and this is Cheelo Katambo. Good to have you. Welcome and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mr. Banda. How have you been?
Not too bad, thank you. Good to see you in this new year.
It's always a pleasure to be seated here to talk to Mr. Banda.
Indeed. And more so to talk to the people.
Indeed.
A lot obviously is happening. The fact that we are in this new year, there is eagerness to see implementation of the 2025 national budget.
Yeah.
Other than that, there is a lot of excitement on the ground because obviously yesterday we saw on social media, obviously, jubilations of those that finally got picked or allocated their work assignments in as far as the health sector is concerned. So we'll talk more about that as well. But generally, how are you doing as United Party for National Development in terms of growing the party? Because we are headed into general elections next year. And it's obviously important that you begin to solicit for the vote from the multitude out there. Would you also be in a position to say that you are on firm ground based on the fact that you've so far done well with by-elections, both at ward and now it's taking shape at constituency level with one gone your way? Would you describe that you are doing fine as a party in terms of mobilization?
Thank you very much, Mr. Banda, and thanks very much for that preamble. 2024 is gone, 2025 is here, 2026 is next year. So are we ready? Are we on firm ground, as you have asked? Well, let me say we had a very good 2024 as a political party. Politically, UPND had a very good 2024. I know most people would want to argue that by-elections cannot be a measure for popularity, especially for a ruling party. But one thing we should understand is that a political party's success measure is measure used to the yardstick used to measure the success of any political party is its participation in elections, its performance in elections, and the like, because elections are also used as tools for mobilization. You can use an election to determine how your ground is, especially in areas where you are predominantly not popular. In areas like Kawambwa, if you are able to participate in a by-election in Kawambwa and win, regardless of the margin, if you can win a by-election in Kawambwa, an opposition area, opposition the ruling party, but then after 2021 it became an opposition area. Then you also have got areas such as Petauke, which have always been a thorny place to go to. So looking at the performance that we've had in 2024 with regards to by-elections, I can say the UPND is firmly putting its strides in place. We are getting to places which were traditionally never our go areas. We had areas in some parts of Wapula where you would find that in a general election, President Hichilema would get maybe 5 votes, the whole constituency.
Yeah.
But that is no longer the situation now. We have seen how the UPND has quickly developed into a household political party in most of this. So yes, we are getting fame. We are firmly in control as a political party. We are not only using these by-elections for purely just campaigns. We are also using these by-elections to mobilize. Our Secretary General is currently in Petauke, where he's, apart from campaigning for Mr. Severiana Lungu, he's also mobilizing and trying to check the strength of our structures. Where we find that the structures are not strong, he has been given the leeway by national management to make sure that a few replacements are made so that the structures are made strong. We are doing a political structure audit as we go along to test the strength of the party in readiness for the 2026 general election. So yes, Mr. Banda, the UPND is firmly on the ground, and the UPND is making great strides because of its the programs that the government has been instituting, especially in these rural areas. You have just been talking about the employment, the recruitment of the 4,000 health workers. This is not the first time, Mr. Banda, that we are recruiting for health workers. You know, we have been consistent from 2022 up to date. We have recruited more than 21,000 health workers alone. We came at the backdrop of a situation where government was not recruiting because there was an employment freeze. So within 3 years, we have recruited that 21,000. So we have moved the numbers from about 60,000 health workers in the country. Now, when you talk about 60,000, you're also talking about cleaners and the registry clerks. So we have moved the numbers from about 59, 60,000 somewhere there to almost 80, 82,000 health workers. The establishment is 139,000. So we are slowly getting towards that number. These are people that were employed from across the country, in all, including rural areas. We had people being employed from as far as Kalindawalo, Kwamumbi, and every other place where people are living. So that gives us a reason to believe that the UPND is being appreciated in the furthest part of this country. You have got the issues of CDF. You got Kwamumbi. Yesterday, I was listening to Chief Kalindawalo and Chief Mumbi of Petauke, where they were giving praise to the government because of the many developments gone into those areas. We have reduced the distances between clinics, especially because we have even made sure that every clinic has got a maternity annex, and thus we have reduced the distances that our expecting mothers were covering. You can imagine somebody moving all the way from Kaumbwe to Petauke, a general hospital, where they could for them to go and deliver. So we have reduced that. Now people are able to deliver within their localities. That gives us a reason to believe that the women of Petauke are appreciating the services that this government has brought to them. Their children are in schools. They have got desks and everything in schools. So under CDF, we are sure that the people of Petauke, the people of Kawambwa, the people of Pambashi, and indeed Zambians across the country are appreciating the services that this government, through President Hakainde Hichilema, has brought to this country. There's some normalcy, there's decency. So all those things put together, Mr. Banda, I know we have got a long time to discuss all these things. All those put together, it gives us a reason to believe that 2026 is within our reach and within our sight.
Right. Now, you are going back to Eastern Province for the second time as far as it comes to constituency by-elections.
Yes.
The first one was which you lost as a party.
Yes.
Would you allude that to the fact that people had not yet started seeing the fruits of development such as CDF?
Remember,
what makes you think that because you lost the first one, what makes you think, or what makes you be confident that you would scoop Petauke Central?
Remember, Mr. Banda, you have rightly said that this is the second time we are going to Eastern Province at parliamentary level.
Yeah.
Kaumbwe was held slightly after we formed government.
Right.
So really, people had not understand what the UPND stood for. Like I said, it was not an easy terrain to get into Petauke, get into Kawombwe. I have been there before. I was there even before the 2021 elections. I know what it meant to go and campaign in Kawombwe. I know what it meant to campaign in Petauke, especially in Petauke Central. We know what it meant to go and campaign there. So really, when the Kawombwe by-election came up with Dr. Alon Mwanza, who later on scooped it under the PF, it was not an easy terrain. Okay, you were talking to people that had believed in the PF for 10 years. So really converting them within 3-4 months was not an easy task, was not an easy thing. Because remember, we had not yet started implementing our CDF. We had not yet started implementing our cash for work. We had not yet started implementing our enhanced cash, social cash transfer. There are so many programs that we had not yet started. We had not yet even started giving them desks in schools. They were just hearing that CDF had been increased. They didn't even understand what it meant to increase CDF. We had not yet started giving them grants. So they didn't understand what UPND is. For them, the only vehicle they knew and understood was PF. But now things have changed drastically. I was there 3 months ago. I was in Kawombwe. I can tell you that the terrain of Kawombwe is changing, and the people of Kawombwe are starting to appreciate the services that this government is offering. We are very sure that come 6th February, the people of Petauke Central have appreciated what we have done. Go there and you see how many feeder roads we have worked on. And this year, President Hichilema said, can we, all councils, release 3 million kwacha towards work on feeder roads? So all is what gives us a reason to believe that the people of Petauke will not want to remain behind behind the development cycle. We are moving into Petauke not with pangas, not with maligning each other, but we are moving with Petauke with a word of development. And the people of Petauke are very happy and excited, starting with the chiefs to the last person on the streets.
How then do you defend yourselves, considering that already we've witnessed violence in Petauke Central, and it's evident that everything is pointing towards UPND cadres attacking other political parties?
Mr. Banda, are you aware that the camp that was attacked was the UPND camp? It was our camp that was attacked. So how do we attack our own camp?
So were you merely defending yourself?
If somebody comes to your house, I don't think you are going to sit and watch them attack your house. You're going to put up some resistance. Okay, look, we have been in these by-elections from 2022, several by-elections. If my count serves me right, we should have about 80 or so by-elections, both at council and parliamentary levels. And I want you to tell me where you ever heard of any spate of violence taking place. We have had elections in Northern Province. There was no violence. We had elections in Eastern Province before. There was no violence. We had elections in Southern Province. There was no violence. Now, there is an animal that has just joined this wave of by-elections. The animal that is sponsored by the PF, the Tonse animal. The moment the Tonse animal came on in the picture, you're seeing all these violence acts. You saw the same in Kawambwa during the Kawambwa elections. Because Tonse moved in, because PF was in there, because Edgar Lungu was in that election, we saw some spate of violence. This time around, Tonse is in Eastern Province, is in Petauke. You have seen again some spate of violence. That should give you a reason to believe that there is an animal that has not been there in all the other by-elections, but is now in this by-election and has brought violence. UPND is not violent. If we were violent, you'd have heard spates of violences across all the 80 plus by-elections, but you didn't hear them all. You have only started hearing them now in Petauke. It means that the person who is being attacked here is UPND. We were attacked at our camp. Our camp was ransacked. Our camp was run over. The women were attacked. Those women that were found cooking at the camp, they were attacked. We shall not allow that. Mr. Hichilema has said time and over that let us use ideas. Let's get into the campaigns and use ideas. Let's change ideas. Let's tell the people what we are going to do for them. Do not go and start harming the people. Do not go and start killing people, because those are the people that you want to save at the end of the day. So if you're going, we believe in an election that is free and has handled the horse carefully and very well. We are happy with the manner that ECZ has been handling the. You can call them any names. Yes, they're not 100%. They have got their own shortcomings, but so far so good, better than it was regime.
Also, we do understand that the UPND had hinted to all of your potential candidate would have been, and I think that in the corridors it was highly mentioned that you were proposing, I'm not sure, but please clarify that you were hinting on or planning on having Doris Leah stand on the UPND ticket. And the moment she fell from that, you seem to have panicked, and we understand that your candidate is not as popular. Are you worried the fact that there is that situation?
Mr. Banda, at no time was the name of Doris Leah discussed in the UPND corridors. It could have been discussed on social media by one or two people, but not in the UPND corridors, because UPND has got a structure. If that structure spoke that they wanted Dora, then we would have said, yes, we wanted Dora, but we just couldn't get her. But that structure did not speak. You never heard anybody from the structure saying Dora should be our candidate. You never heard the Secretary General, who is the spokesperson. You never heard Mr. Mweto, who is the spokesperson. You never heard the president say they want Dora. So where that information that we wanted Dora is coming from beats us. We have never at any time discussed the name of Dora in our structures. So it's not true that we wanted Dora. UPND is a very big political party, sir. So it would again be folly to say we panicked and picked a candidate that was not popular. Why are they panicking if they think Mr. Severiano Lungu is not popular? Mr. Severiano Lungu has brought the people of Petauke together. He's a resident of Petauke. He grew up in Petauke. He knows Petauke from Minga to the last point. He knows it very well. So you cannot say that he's an unpopular candidate and we are panicking that we might lose. No, we are not losing. We don't pick unpopular candidates. We pick candidates that are strong on the ground, who will culminate into the implementation of the policies that we are already discussing. That is a candidate that we have picked for Petauke, not a pushover candidate.
How much do these by-elections mean to you as a party? Because I'm looking at how much armour you've pushed in terms of ministers leaving work at their various ministries or to go and camp in these constituencies. Is this how much you need these?
Let me make it a bit clear here, Mr. Banda. We have not dispatched ministers into these by-elections. What we have dispatched are members of parliament into these by-elections. Get it from whatever angle. But what we have dispatched are members of parliament. And members of parliament, for your own information, are UPND's #1 campaigners. That's our front line. We don't have anybody else to push into the campaigns. They go into the campaigns as members of parliament. They go into campaigns as members of the National Management Committee. They go into campaigns as members of the provincial executive committees. So we have not pushed or have not sent any ministers into the campaigns. We have sent members of parliament. What does the by-election mean? Come on, democracy. Like I said, a political party's strength is measured by its participation in by-election. You can talk the loudest. You can think that you are the biggest political party, but if you're not participating in by-elections, if you're not participating in elections, your size is neither here nor there. So the people of Petauke require leadership. And as a party in government, it's just our prerogative to make sure that the people of Petauke have got the right leadership to steer the development agenda that this UPND government is implementing forward. Remember, we have got the 2021 to 2026 development agenda, the manifesto. So we need a leader who is going to push and implement that agenda up to 2026. So we are going into Petauke, we are going into Pambashe, not because it's a matter of life and death, no. It's because it's our democratic right. It's a democratic, one of the democratic tenets. It's one of the democratic elements to participate in a by-election. So we are doing just what democracy entails us to do. So we are into Petauke because democracy needs us to be into Petauke, because time has come for us to be in Petauke, and that is why we are in Petauke. Not that it's a matter of life and death. Like I said, members of parliament have got our members of parliament have always, even in the opposition days, our members of parliament were always the ones leading in the front line. We won all the by-elections. We won and lost by-elections together with members of parliament. So we are not seeing anything different now.
Are you still using the strategy you used in Katambo, in Petauke and Pambashe, where the president will not go and campaign for those candidates?
Well, we still have 6 more days. We still have a number of days, I think a week or so. We'll see if there will be need for the president to go into the 2 by-elections. As we speak, he's in Tanzania.
Why wasn't there need for Katambo?
Why wasn't there need? Because he had other pressing national issues that he was addressing. He was attending to other pressing national issues. So we thought the team that was already there was enough to represent him.
It is also believed that this particular recruitment of health workers is strategic strategically positioning yourselves, because obviously you've got these by-elections, and others have said, why did you bring the recruitment now? Why not after the by-elections? You are trying to push a certain agenda of winning these by-elections by the fact that you will have excited individuals who you would have employed as government.
Mr. Banda, I like your sources. Mr. Banda, this is not the first time we're having a recruitment. Even last year we had the recruitment. I don't know whether when we had the recruitment last year we had the by-election. I'm not sure whether when we had the recruitment in 2022 we had the by-election. I think that assumption is very flawed. Very flawed. If you remember, the announcement for this recruitment was done in November, way before the dates for the by-elections had been set. So the processes were ongoing with the Civil Service Commission and the Ministry of Health. The processes were going on the whole of December. And now the process is ready. They are ready to release the names. Surely, were we going to be normal if we were going to say, let us wait until after 6th February? What are we waiting for? Should really the development agenda of this country, should the development wheels come to a standstill because there is a by-election somewhere? No. Our youths needed to be employed, and time has come for them to be employed. And yesterday was the right time for them to be employed. You saw the excitement. I was just seeing some videos of parents shouting, screaming of how excited they are that finally their children, some of whom graduated as far back as 2016, were now getting jobs. Can you imagine, Mr. Banda, you educate your child up to tertiary level. They become nurses or doctors or whatever they can be. 2016. And you are told the government cannot employ because the government has got no money. Your daughter, your son has to wait for the next 8-9 years to get employed. That daughter would have had 10 years experience by today. But they were not able to be employed. This government comes in and employs your daughter. Just imagine the excitement. And imagine somebody comes and tells you, no, government has employed your daughter because he wants you to be excited about the Katambo by-election. That's absurd. It's a development process, and government will not stop because there is a by-election somewhere. No, we'll continue recruiting. Next, we are getting obviously by the end of this month or early next month, we are getting the list for the Ministry of Education. We are continuing, and then we are going to get the list for the Ministry of Health, for the Ministry of Agriculture. It's a continuous process. We promised, and we are delivering. So people should just accept that that is the status quo now.
Yeah. Your party is being attacked left, right, and center on the cost of living, which most people believe this is one thing that you have failed to deliver. And they feel that if you can't deliver on the cost of living, the rest may not matter much, because everybody says food is the most important for everyone. I don't know how your agenda is, because this is, in most instances that I've interacted with people both here and off this program, they are basically saying the cost of living will bring down UPND come 2026. And I'm sure you're hearing these words and these sentiments. How then are you committing to ensuring that you reduce the cost of living?
Mr. Banda, the cost of living in this country has always been high. If you're going to make a comparison of any period, you realize that every year there's an increase in the cost of living. Try to do a comparison between when the PF came into power, because people want us to compare with the PF. When the PF came into power in 2011, how much was petrol? Fuel was going at less than 6 kwacha. Minimum was going at about 35 kwacha or so. By the time they were leaving, how much was minimum? It had gone, you remember the Tutwangurube video in Ikawe, it had gone to more than 200 kwacha. So the cost of living will continue rising. But that's not an excuse. We agree that the cost of living is a bit high in this country. As we stand now, the cost of living is high. But this cost of living has got reasons why it has gone to this level. We had a drought last year. People did not grow enough food. So in terms of production, in terms of food production, we were at our lowest. You can imagine the whole southern province didn't supply any maize to FRA. Much of the maize was supplied by northern Wapura and Muchinga, as well as northwestern province. Now, the bread, the traditional bread basket, food basket of this country did not supply because of the drought. If you look at the JCTR, the food basket monthly release, it indicates that the key contributor towards that the high cost of living is food. Now, we are happy that 2025, the heavens have opened, the skies look very promising, and we are sure that this year we are going to have a lot of food. We are so sure that the cost of living, in as far as food is concerned, is going to reduce. We're going to have a lot of food, and we are going to see a reduction in the cost of that food. Now, here's the other thing, Mr. Banda. You see, Zambia is predominantly or traditionally a consumer nation. And that's the reason why we are failing to arrest the cost of living, including inflationary and the forex exchange. We are traditionally a consumer nation. We are not a producing nation. Very few Zambians would want to produce. They want to consume and buy everything that they consume. 70, if not 90% of what we use in this country are all coming from outside the country. How then do we expect ourselves to have enough money in circulation? Because the cost of living has got everything to do with the issues of inflation and issues of forex. We have not been producing. Our goose, the goose that lays the golden egg, the mining sector, was dead. It's just now that this goose is starting to rise. We saw at one point in 2021, our annual output of copper had gone drastically down to less than 600,000 metric tons per year. What can you do with that? It's not possible. But now this government has started putting in programs that are going to push our GDP, that are going to push our inflation rate down. These programs, you have seen the activities that are going on in the mining sector now. You've seen how much activity is there in Rumana. You've seen how much activity is there at FQM. You've seen the activity that is at Mopani and KCM. We are so sure that once these activities reach their optimum levels, we are going to see a reduction in the cost of living, because you and I will have readily disposable income. Now you and me don't have disposable income because there's no money in the economy. There's no goods that lays the golden egg. All the monies that are coming are going out to buy for exports, or is it imports? So those are some of the challenges that this government found, and some of the challenges this government is trying to address. People want us to do subsidies. No, this economy is not strong enough to handle consumer or consumption subsidy. Let us subsidize production. If we are going to subsidize the farmers, we have got FISIP. And now this government has introduced the SAF, feasible specifically for the vulnerable farmers. And usually it is something that comes every December. But now we are saying we want a farmer to go into business and grow crops, keep animals all year round. We have said the banks, here's the money. Can you give the farmers the money so that they can? All those are programs aimed at holding the economy together. All those are programs aimed at making sure that the cost of living, the cost of production is managed going forward. We are looking at a country, Mr. Banda, which in the next 20, 30 years, we'll be able to look back and say in 2025, in 2023, we had a government that did not do populist policies, but looked forward, had a forward focus, and ensured that by 2035, 2040, our economy is able to stand on its own. It's not a one-day thing. Creating a stable economy, Mr. Banda, is not a one-day thing. I'll tell you that, look, when the MMD came into power in 1991, they found the economy that was dead. The UNIP had crippled the economy. And it took them 10 years to try to resuscitate a dead economy. By the time Mr. Mwanawasa was coming into power, they had put the fundamentals. They had done the privatization, and the fundamentals had been put in place. Mr. Mwanawasa today is praised as having been one of the best presidents because he came and jumped on a foundation on a government that had a foundation laid. He continued laying that foundation all the way up the Zachariah Banda regime. And then, come 2011, we went back to populist policies. And now, this government is merely trying to clean what had been damaged in 10 years. So it's not a short process, Mr. Banda. We have to move, and Zambians have to be very patient. Saying that like the UPND has failed, so we should kick them out in 2026 and bring in a different regime, you will be reinventing the wheel. Because even that regime that will come, we'll find that the UPND had not yet finished laying its ground. They might decide not to continue with the UPND policies and reinvent the wheel, meaning that at that point, you'll be restarting the economy. Now, the economies don't run like that. Economies, if you want to manage economies, there must be continuity. Countries like China have managed their economy up to this date because there has been continuity. They've had one political party from 1949. From 1949, they have had one political party. All they do is changing presidents, or is it secretary generals. But the development agenda has continued unabated. They just review. After 5 years, they review this development agenda. Did it work? No, it didn't work. What needed to be done? It is this. They move forward. But here you want to continue changing. This period, you are bringing in a capitalist government. The next 5 years, you want to bring in a socialist government. It doesn't work like that. The economy will continue going back and forth. So we are sure that Zambians know that they cannot risk removing the UPND in 2026, because removing the UPND in 2026 means that you're going to reinvent the wheel and start the development process again. You are going to complain again. By 2027, 2028, people will be complaining again to say this government is bad because you removed the government that had started to move the wheel. So that gives us enough reason to believe that come 2026, Zambians will retain the UPND so that the UPND can continue with the development agenda that it has started, sustain it, and make it more effective. By 2031, when President Hakainde Hichilema is leaving office, this economy, Mr. Banda, I can tell you that would have hit the 3 million metric tons of copper by 2031, would have moved this economy to its single-digit growth. We are looking at it going into double-digit growth if you want a real economy to grow. Production levels in this country would have gone up. Those are the things that we are looking at with President Hakainde Hichilema by 2031. So that whichever UPND president will succeed President Hichilema will now continue maintaining the momentum towards a more sustainable development.
Your performance is also being judged on how you are responding to the energy crisis. People feel there's a laissez-faire approach. It's not being taken as an emergency. How do you react to that?
Well, energy is for us.
And in this case, I mean, the subsector being electricity. Yeah.
We are looking at energy with the seriousness that it deserves. I know you want us to, you are talking about the electricity subsector. Look, for 58 years plus, Mr. Banda, this country depended on hydro. It depended on hydro. We pumped money, we pumped dollars, we pumped huge sums of money into hydro. And now that the heavens had other plans, we saw the drought that hit us last year. You all know what happened. The rivers dried. We could not solely depend on hydro. It meant that we had come to a dead stop. But this government did not come to a dead stop. It realized that where there's a challenge, an opportunity rises. We saw an opportunity to diversify the energy sector. We saw an opportunity to grow the energy sector, and the energy sector has now grown. I can tell you, Mr. Banda, that if you are to look at the energy policy of 2020 or 2019, and then compare it with the energy policy of now, you will realize that the two policies are poles apart. We have made changes to those policies. The issues of the solar has been brought in. We are saying, can we diversify? Can there be energy mix? Can we bring in all sorts of avenues on which we can produce electricity? Thermal, for example. We have got so much coal in this country. Why were we not developing the thermal industry using the coal in Mamba? The coal in Mamba is, for lack of a better term, is going to waste. And yet we could have built huge power stations using the coal in Mamba. We have got coal in Gwembe. We would have built huge power stations in Gwembe using coal. But all that we didn't do. We have got the sunshine. Almost every day of the year we have got the sun. Why didn't we make big solar stations? Those are activities that this government is putting in place. We are talking about nuclear. It is possible to build a nuclear station in Zambia. All those activities are being put in place to diversify the energy sector. Look, nobody wanted to in the electricity. We are talking about the electricity subsector here. Nobody wanted to invest in the electricity subsector because there was no money. You are going to sell. You produce your electricity at 12 cents per kilowatt, or is it 14 cents per kilowatt, and sell it to a consumer at 9 cents per kilowatt. You'd have made a loss. The only company that was able to do that because it was cushioning by the taxpayer is ZESCO. But the independent power producers could not come on board because they didn't want to make losses. Nobody wants to go into business and make a loss. But now we are reviewing those prices. We are reviewing the tariffs, and you are seeing a number of independent power producers coming on board. Look at Mamba. Mamba is now building a second 300 megawatts thermal power station. There's another company just behind Mamba, which is also putting up another 300 megawatts thermal power station. We have got a power plant that is coming up in Sioma, Tingonya Falls. That project has been on and off the books for the past 10 or so years. They could not proceed with it due to lack of funds. Look at CEC. CEC now is putting up another about 240 megawatts solar power plant because now there is money in the sector. So this government, it would be folly for anyone to say we are approaching the electricity subsector with a laissez-faire approach. We are making sure that come 2031, come whichever year, Zambia will be able to stand on its own in terms of power. Come any drought that is going to hit Zambia, next drought, I can tell you that Zambia will be found ready to resist any shocks that will come because of the drought, because of the policies that we are putting in place. Energy sector, Mr. Banda, is the next big thing in this country. We have depended on mining. Now we are moving to start, very soon you'll see that this country will start depending on energy for its that we can assure you, because of the policies that this government has put. The Chisamba 100 megawatts solar power station should be coming on the national grid by May. We have got the 50 megawatts in Zimbabwe solar power station, which also should be coming by June. So we have got a lot of these power stations that are coming on board, such that by be discussing a different case. By early next mid this year, we'll be discussing. By early next year, I can assure you that Zambia will be talking about, because this government has put in place all mechanisms to make sure that the sector, the electricity subsector, is taken care of.
This is the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue. My guest today is Cheelo Katambo. He is the UPND Deputy Media Director, and we are discussing everything around current affairs and, of course, national development. Also, before I bring in the callers, I would like us to touch on one critical issue where this government has come out with lots of lessons, especially with the issue of the drought. And we hear that this government is encouraging small-scale farmers to venture into irrigation, okay, and be able to do agriculture throughout the year. How is this progressing, especially with regards the political influence on it? Is there any political influence on it to ensure that this is implemented as soon as possible?
That is the irrigation policy.
Yes.
I can tell you that the other thing that, like I said, where there's a challenge, an opportunity always arises. And the other thing that has arisen because of the 2024 drought challenge is the government coming to think outside the box. We have, listen, Zambia has always depended on rain-fed agriculture. We have always waited for October, November, December to plant our maize, to plant our crops. But this government is saying, look, last year in 2023, we waited for December to come so that we could plant our maize. What happened? We had a drought and we had a food shortage. So what do? Let's go irrigation. We have got rivers. We have got boreholes that can push water all the year round. Go to Iteji, go along the banks of the Kafua River. You find traditional farmers have put up 2, 3, 4 hectares each of irrigated maize because they want to be eating. The chief told me, I want to eat maize every day of the year. Or because this government has put measures to ensure that that kind of irrigation is sustainable. Now, what have we done? We have introduced the SAF, the agriculture credit facility, which now cuts across all sectors. Everybody, including civil servants, are allowed to go and get credit from the banks so that they can engage into irrigation agriculture or any other mechanized agriculture. CEEC also has got a component of that where you go and get money. You go and get irrigation implements so that you can grow your crops all year round. So this government realized that depending on rain-fed agriculture will not help our strategic food reserves. We are now calling on even small-scale farmers, wherever you are, even whether you are in Shangombo, you are in Petauke, you are in Vubwi, even in Chadiza, wherever you are, as a small-scale farmer, you can apply to the Ministry of Agriculture through your district agriculture officers or through your extension officers that you want to benefit from SAF. You want to start an irrigation farming house holdings so that we have food all year round. These monies are there. Government has set aside these monies with these banks. Initially, we only had NatSave. And you saw the challenges that our farmers faced just when this SAF was opened. NatSave could not manage the workload; it was too much. So now this government has introduced new banks. Indo-Zambia Bank has come on board. Zanaco has come on board so that farmers can now access these funds easily. There are certain areas where you don't find the NatSave, but definitely you are going to find Zanaco. So going forward, we don't expect to see the challenges that the farmers faced in the infancies of this SAF facility. We are working at making sure that irrigation farming becomes an in thing for everybody. Remember, we are making agriculture a business, not a by the way activity for those that have got nothing to do as it was in the past. Because we know that if agriculture is made into a business, a lot of economies have grown. Go to Canada. The economy of Canada has grown because a lot of people are involved in agriculture. Agriculture for business is a great venture for forex earner. And as a government, As a UPND, we are very proud that our manifesto, our 2021 to 2026 manifesto, which placed agriculture at the center of its existence, has been implemented through the 8th National Development Plan, and we are seeing some of these things coming to pass, coming to fruition. We are only calling on government workers, the implementing agencies. Can we get back to the people and tell them, can we sensitize the people on these activities? People will not guess that government has introduced all these SAF, all these agriculture facilities, if we, especially the technocrats, especially the civil servants, those that are mandated to implement those projects. Us, our job is to provide the policy, and we have provided the policy. It's up to the civil servant, it's up to the technocrats to get to the people and sensitize the people to say, there's this, can you apply, so that we start moving together in terms of food sustainability. This country needs enough food. We have got the capacity. We have got Angola on our western side. We have got Congo. Two big markets that we are failing to satisfy. You see, Angola has to buy food from Brazil. What don't we have in this country, southern province alone? Why don't we have, or Kenya or other countries, that should make Congo go and buy its food from somewhere else when we can supply Congo with that food? We have the capacity, we have the land, we have the good rains, we have the water. All that we need now is our focus, putting our minds towards production, not tantameni, not waiting for handouts or anything. But once we put our focus, I can tell you, Mr. Banda, that we can supply Congo, we can supply Angola with enough food and earn this country enough money as forex. So irrigation farming is a serious initiative that has been started by this government, and it's in its infancy stages, but we'll make sure that its implementation is at 100%.
This, once again, is the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue here on the Happy Wood of 5 FM radio. We are also live on our partner radio stations. We are live on Tuta FM in Mansa, and of course, live also in Ndola on Platinum Radio, and live in Kabwe and Central Province on Spice FM, and here in Lusaka we are live on 5 FM on 89.9. We will take phone calls. Our guest this morning is UPND Deputy Media Director in Cheelo, Katambo. So let's see if we can pick up this call. Good morning.
Mr. Banda, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you very much for calling. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Moses, I'm calling you from within Lusaka. Our guest, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Moses. How is the heavens today?
We thank God did no major breakdowns. Mine ones are endured according to my uncle Angwari. You know, you are explaining so well, and this is what we need from you, government officials. You have got all these good paper, but you need to communicate them to the people on the ground. You know, like the program for the farmers, it's a very good program. And I remember my brother in Petauke. Me, I come from Petauke. So when you talk about me, those are our areas. We know those things. So he benefited last year because we got a family farm, like a garden. So he was given some input, and he was able to. So those programs are very, very important, and that's what people need. And one thing that your government also should be appreciated, you know, are these government opportunities, the jobs and so on. In the past, there was a lot of corruption, and you should not be ashamed to talk about that, where people used to pay money to individuals just to get a job from the government. You have done well. However, the challenges is that, like the violence in Petauke, the only reason I can give you is that you, as UPND, you had no competitors. So now you are feeling that pressure from the Tonse, because the Tonse seem to have people also. That's why we are seeing these violences here and there. So can you stop that? That is why we changed the PF to UPND, because we want, you know, a political atmosphere which is peaceful, so that everyone is free to participate. Also, I hope I could start of democracy. Otherwise, you are doing very well. You have taken our relatives, our children, our relatives to this. You have given them government support through bursary. we appreciate and it's very important because when we have these young people getting education, this nation will never be the same. So we are appealing also to you. Don't just enroll them in universities and so on and so forth. You should also have a program for them so that as they graduate, they are given jobs because we don't want a situation whereby they graduate with degrees. Again, they come home, Ankara 20 years more, Manchito. Yeah. Otherwise, also, I hope I'm going
Zikomo, Moses, for that contribution, and we really appreciate that you came through on 0955221515. You too, that's the number that you can use to come through if you would like to have a say. Let's pick this one. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Banda.
How are you today?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm very well as well. Thank you for calling. Your name and where you calling us from?
I'm General Chongo calling from Kawe.
General Chongo, always a pleasure to have you. Please go ahead, sir.
Who is our guest, the name of our guest?
The guest is the UPND Deputy Media Director in Mr. Katambo.
Katambo Mashibukeni.
Washibuka ba General Mashibukeni.
Kale balikala Katambo icho mulela ndile icho Katambo nicho mulelia. Majority of Zambian people are suffering. Rise has got a short legs. Icho nalala ndani ichi. Wakatambo when PF wapokele kuri wa MMD, they find the fuel at 10 kwacha and brought it for 10 years at 17 kwacha. They just increased the fuel kwacha for 10 years. But you said you bring the fuel at 12 kwacha. Now what has happened for close to 4 years? You increase the fuel from 17 kwacha to 30-something kwacha, 100%. Is that development? Secondly, Katambo, wakula masukulu nesipatala omufere kubalira pokutashani nani wabomba because you have employed health workers and you are still employing nama teachers now who has done a lot. That one who has built schools and hospitals, or that one who has employed. Lastly, Katambo, you promise Zambian people no one should go to bed without eating 3 meals a day. Is that happening as you were promising Zambian people when you were in opposition? And lastly, we share in position who blocked you to stand some by elections? What has happened to PF blocked by the same and president and secretary general? Have you changed the constitution? Who blocked you when you were in opposition?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chongo. Rather, is it General Chongo? Yes. Thank you very much for coming through. We appreciate that. 0955221515 is the number you can get us on. Let's take this one and then we'll allow you to respond. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Katam.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you. I'm calling you from Kawe. My name is Mrs. Kasoma Agnes.
We thank God.
Yes. I'm very proud to mention that UPND, from the time of memorial, is the government where we have seen people getting employment. Like, I don't know how to explain. Look at the 30,000 teachers, the health workers. Look at the bursaries, and look at the grants. Look at the loans and everything which has been done by this party. I, for one, am praising you because no one is paying money for them to be recruited. Of late, if you can look at the statistics, sir, to be very specific and real, most of even the PF, those who were maybe councillors, they even left as councillors, going to be employed as the teachers. Where were they in PF? Why didn't they go and join? because they had no chance to do so. Even if they were in those positions, they didn't have the chance because they didn't have the money to say. That one is clear, and there's no arguments about it. Then coming to the issue of Shima, the people which they are complaining about, yes, we understand. Even if PF was in office today, do you think the minimum was going to be brought at 50 quid? Zambians, let's be very real and realistic. Where things have been done well, let's learn to appreciate. We have all the freedom. Anyone is speaking, anyone is insulting. They don't care whether they climb on the top of the roof. They are insulting even the president, even anyone. No one is being taken to book. Even if people are complaining about the rule of law. I, for one, look at the gaddarism which we used to have. I tell you, it was pathetic. Pathetic. We never even thought of being free the way we are right now. So what I'm saying is, your government has worked. Yes, we cannot say they can do everything. The time is just too minimal. 3 years is not too much, for them to do everything, for them to return them to 50 quid. Honestly, let's be real. Me, for one, me and my family eating all the meals. Why am I saying so? So right now, I'm at Tabanapia. I'm Kulimak farm. I'm at Tabanapia. There's no problem of the meal which people are trying often. I've got it. So, but last year, fertilizer early Katambo there. Those who were ready, and to tell you the truth, I think me am appealing to you, sir. The next consignment of this principle, you should scrutinize it up to the latter, because most of the people who are insulting this time, they sell fertilizer, they're not even farmers. So now we are saying those who are farmers like me have planted and everything is fine. Thank God for the rains. So we are saying this new government, this new thing, it has done miracles because the time is too short. We cannot even say that you have failed. What have you failed? There's the free education there. What have you really failed? Because they were saying, Ukupanga free education, what miracle are they going to do? Well, now the miracle has been performed. So I, for one, have no problem. Thank you very much for having done it, and thank God. And may God bless you, richly bless you, so that in 2026, I have no problem. The party is going through without any challenges. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, like always, for your contribution, Madam, all the way from Kabwe. We appreciate your response, if you'd like to react.
Thank you very much, Mr. Banda. I think I want to appreciate the contributions that have come from Mr. Moses, as well as Madam Agnes from Kabwe. I've always said, you see, when you are contributing to a radio program, as Zambians, let's contribute not because we want to argue, but let's contribute because we want to provide solutions to national problems. Then the problems for this country will not always be problems for UPND. There are problems for everybody. So when you are contributing, you contribute towards a solution. What have you done for the country? Not you always want the country to do something for you. I think there was a famous American poet who asked that question. What have you done for the USA that you want the USA to do for you? So what have you done for this country that you want this country to do for you? Thank you very much, Madam Agnes. I think she has put up a number of issues here that are very positive. The issues of the councillors are able to resign. Actually, if you look at 50 or 60% of the elections that we've had from 2022 to date, these have been induced by councillors that have resigned because they want to join the civil service, because they want to pursue their professional careers. These are councillors that had been trained as teachers or trained as health workers, but could not be employed. The only alternative was them to get into politics and become councillors. The UPND has come on board and opened them opportunities, and they have realized, oh, I can still go back and practice as a nurse. I can still go back and practice as a pharmacist. I can still go back and practice as a teacher. Let me go back to my profession so that I can serve my country at another level. And these are the people now that have come on board to come and offer their service to the nation, regardless of their political status, whether you are UNIP, you are PF, you are whatever, as long as you are a qualified Zambian, this government has employed them. And we are very happy that we have got people like Madam Agnes that are able to acknowledge the positives that we have done in this country so far. Mr. Moses, you're talking about violence in Petauke. It is not us. I'll repeat, it is not UPND that started that violence. We were attacked at our camp. So it's not true that UPND is scared of Tonse in Petauke. We're not scared of Tonse. We're not scared of any. Actually, Tonse is not a political party that we should be scared. Tonse has fielded in, I think it must be NCP, if I'm not wrong. NCP is neither here nor there. It's not a political party. Even if you do a survey within Lusaka and ask them, do you know a political party called the NCP? Nobody knows it. So why should we be scared about a political party that only exists on the books of the Registrar of Societies? Well, that is if they have paid their statutory obligations. So it's not true that we are scared. It is Tonse, it is NCP, it is PF that have brought the violence in Petauke and attacked our people at the camp. Remember, Petauke Central is predominantly a PF stronghold. We are going in to go and grab that seat from them. So they will not leave it just like that. They will not give it out on silver platter. We have to fight for it. That doesn't mean we're going to use violence. We are going to use all the policies that we have to tell the people of Petauke the goodness of the UPND. So it's not true that we are scared of NCP. NCP is not a political party that we can be scared of. Not in a day, not in a year, not in a million years can we be scared of NCP. They can bundle themselves. If they want, they can come. All of those political parties, the 10 of them. There are those political parties that I used to call Nashara Neka. Because if you look at the composition of Tonse, look at NCP. Who is the vice president for NCP? We don't know. Who is the secretary general? We don't know. Look at Sondo's political party, something agenda, UBZ something. Who is his vice president? We don't know. Who is his secretary general? So basically they have bundled themselves, all rallying around the 60th Republican president, who unfortunately also now cannot stand because the constitution has barred him. So they are all in this quandary. So it's not a political party, it's not a political grouping that we can be scared of. UPND had a better alliance when it came to alliance with the Mutatis and everybody, because those people had the structures. Now we have got MMD coming to our side. It shows that there's something good about the UPND. So we are not worried about this so-called Tonse of yours. Now I come to Mr. Chongo. He has brought out a number of issues. He says PF found the fuel at 10 kwacha. They took it to 17 kwacha in 10 years. We agree. That was good that they took it within 7 years. Within 10 years, they increased the fuel prices to 17 kwacha, a difference of 7 kwacha. But what ramifications did they leave? This is a party that left a bill of $800 million that this government is paying. Now, can you imagine if this $800 million had been paid by the PF, what was going to be the price? I'm asking Mr. Chongo. If this 800 million, because PF was the oil marketing companies were importing fuel, they come and sell it as subsidy. The subsidy that PF was supposed to be paying to the oil marketing companies was not being paid. It was being diverted towards the slay queens. It was being diverted towards all sorts of activities on the streets. It is this $800 million that the PF were busy secreting to would-be people that were going to beat opposition opponents. This is the $800 million that made this price to remain here. If this $800 million had been paid to the oil marketing companies, Mr. Banda, I can assure you that this price, by now, we should have been talking about 40 kwacha in terms of fuel. By the time the PF were going to leave office, this price was going to be at 40 kwacha. But because the oil marketing companies were blindfolded, the oil marketing companies were made to believe that government was going to pay them the 800 million kwacha, which government didn't. Now we are made to foot that bill as UPND. We came in August 2021, September, somewhere there. The oil marketing companies almost shut this economy because they said we are not going to supply you with fuel until we are paid. We had to renegotiate and tell them, fine, we are going to start paying this bill. And this government is starting to pay this bill. I can tell you that if PF had continued after 2021, August 2021, this bill would have skyrocketed this price of fuel from 17 kwacha to 50 kwacha. That I can assure you. Zambians would have been in worse situations as it is, because the oil marketing, the deal that they made with OMCs was that immediately after the elections, we are going to pay you this money. So do not stop bringing the fuel. Because in June, if you remember, there was a shortage of fuel in June of 2021. The oil marketing companies had refused, that said they were not going to bring fuel until this bill is paid. But they renegotiated, the oil started coming. And when we formed government, the oil makers came back and said, look, there's an agreement with the government that we signed that we're going to pay us this money. We had to negotiate and make sure that the price, that this 800 million kwacha, the oil marketing companies do not stop bringing the fuel. So for people like General Chongo, I hope he's a general, real general, not a general from the streets. For people like Mr. Chongo, he should understand that you do not just start to speak based on social media reports. Understand the situation, understand the issues that are happening so that you interpret it properly. the $800 million was enough to push this fuel price to 40 or 50 kwacha if the PF had continued as a government with the threats from the oil marketing companies. I come to the issues of being blocked. Who has blocked who? We have not blocked anybody. All that we have said, all that ECZ has said, we need order. If you are coming here with a certificate of adoption, it must be signed by the chief executive officer, who is the secretary general of the political party, as well as the president. As simple as that. It's just a regulation under the... Okay? You cannot go to a by-election with a certificate that is just signed by one person. No. What if that person has just fabricated that certificate? There must be two people to sign a certificate. Even a check. There are rules on how you're going to sign a check. If the rules are saying you can only sign a check two people, you can't go with one check to the bank and expect that the bank is going to grant you the money. Yes, the money is yours. The rules are theirs. So when Mr. Chongo is saying the political parties have been blocked, there's not even a single political party that has been blocked. All that the ECZ has done is to make sure that the right things are done by all the political parties. So the fact that PF at one point failed to field in candidates because the adoption certificate was signed by Mr. Nakachinda, when at the Register of Societies, the signature that was there is for Mr. Morgan Ngona. That should not be the problem for ECZ. That should not be a problem for the UPND. Those are issues that they should handle themselves. So it is not true that the UPND government is blocking anybody from participating in by-elections. Everybody is free to participate, and we have seen an overwhelming response in by-elections. Even political parties that never used to participate in by-elections are consistently on the ballot. Political parties like Leadership Movement, it is there on the ballot almost at every by-election. Now we have seen some other political parties, MSC4, something like that, which are participating in by-elections. It shows that the tenets of democracy are still being followed, but we need order and to make sure that the right people are participating in these by-elections and not lawlessness. Then the issue of eating, I think we have discussed this over and over. Mr. Chongo, you're not going to eat if you do not produce. If you think that you're going to sit along Katondo Street and wait for manna to fall from heaven, even God has stopped sending manna because he has seen that it is unsustainable. Produce, then you're going to eat. If you don't produce, yes, you're going to cry all your lungs out all year round. Nothing will come. Let us produce and make sure that we have got enough food for us. Just like Madam Agnes has said, go to the farm, go and produce a small hoarding. You're going to have maize, you're going to have food all year round, and you eat 3 meals a day. Actually, you will not even buy meal at 320 or whatever it is. You just get your 50 kg bag of maize, go up and at the neighborhood grinding meal. You grind. If you want to make it breakfast, if you want to roll a meal, if you want to super roll a meal, you grind it at 50 kwacha. And that is why President Akande said, when I come, I'll come and reduce minimum to 50 kwacha, because he knew that more people grow maize, more people take to the grinding mill, and more people are going to have to the cost of minimum will be very cheap.
Let's take some more calls. This is the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue here on the Happy World of 5 FM radio. Remember, our guest is Mr. Cheelo Katambo. He is the UPND Deputy Media Director. And so let's see if we can take... we lost it, but call us back on 0955-221515. Let's see if we can pick up this one. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Banda.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and you, sir?
I'm well, thank you. And welcome, and thanks for calling.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Michero.
Good morning, sir. I don't know whether we have got your name.
Yes, this is Davis Chiwe calling from Kabwe.
Davis Chiwe. Thank you for calling. Yes. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Namlondola sana wa Michero, ni miumfua wino bati. One thing I mistake remind. Ubu teko weswe UPND. Na party UPND mwalifa abantu ababufi. Ukwambira from Kumulu ufika na Panshi. Why nalandireti? Ele mwali mu campaign, mwali tuwe pira kwa wati. Nga mwapita tukanela 3 times. Vuma tukomena Zambia. Then vunga tukolashita 50 kwacha. Ama recordings za eko yaba. Siyo, ikachipa. By then I passed 17 kwacha. You said he gets a punch goes our PF. Bali futa ma mid domain. So tukafuna mid domain, it will come down. But how much is the price of a fuel per liter? Said something plus. Mamon. Then coming to the road shedding. Mwalandrati, wamu PF for road shedding. It's lack of leadership. You came in road shedding our ways. Does it mean also it's lack of leadership? Mwayimonaka. Then coming to the issue, eko mwatse subject sana obuwi. Cost of living alawa mijero na tuchula kuyona Zambia. Na tuchula kuba vechinga. Baba mtabo mamando road shading. Wewe da ali de koko bo mamando road shading. Ama butcheries twaje koko dena mashama butcheries mamando road shading. Ngama butcheries ali ngakata ma genocide. Mafuri janunga bati mamochali. Mamona. Na fumakoko. Na isa kuli rule of law. Rule of law. The one mention of container na no mbata mwai katapona ngumo. What happened mat transfer minister of Mukwayoko. Try to collect of society. Those illegalities. Zambians are watching. You see? Those illegalities. Why mona? Try to do courage way. Mwapela contractor foreigner akongole mpia mu Zambia. Kuli wanapsa. You see? Look at that mingalato. Look at the mines which come mines. Vandeta Mwareta. The police into miners are complaining. KCM saga. Nano Mbaba Kabusa Gonda will move investment here KCM. And work well.
Thank you. And quite a lot of response from Kabwe. 0955221515. That's the number you can get us on if you'd like to come through and have your say. Good morning. Welcome to the burning issue.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. And how are you today?
I'm okay, boss.
Your name, and where are you calling us from?
This is Woman Sanjay calling from Kanyama Central, Zambia.
Woman Sanjay, it's been a while. Welcome. Please go ahead.
We are around. Good morning, my leader.
Good morning, Mr. Sanjay. How are you?
We are fine.
How is Kanyama?
Kanyama tretun tuka muntu wandi. Everything is just okay. Choyambizia tikutashe niko because the project ya manzi from that time when we had cholera up to date boss manzi akilini isho kuno tisaba na kumwa tiwasha so kuli icho iyo constant I don't think chino chakatinga yambuke na cholera situzaiona Mungu akudaliseni kuli icho kubwera ukasaka kaunga malume ife tikuti yulima yugaya yulima yugaya so ife kutokera pa province ya president jamene vanakamba kuti kaunga zangala vivite kwachi ife sushushana nao chifukwa ife kasaya kaunga tizakamba kuti niyaiti kwacha chifukwa titenga jabe kaja kakogaisa jabe meda 1 bucket kaivalako tafaka munyumba tasanka angatimwa pachizungu aendani mukagaise breakfast ife vamene tinajaira kudya mugaiwa tizaji iwo amene ufuna supalola kagaiseni wamasampo kagaiseni ndiye chamene tinalikulira chifukwa tiziva mapolicies ya UPND no wonder simuzamvera kulira wa UPND ndidi UPND chaiyo aziva mapolicies kuti kulibe vamahala kuti wavala chijombo size 20 wafakako nakatenge mumukosi na munyeretu wavalirato lokwapya bwanji basi enda ku market kuti apa nipanga nifuna yachipyango iwo wakaposi mpase ni 50 kwacha every day yachipyango pamene supyanga na kupyanga ife kulibe so pano tikuyamikirani kubwera kuti yo college we muntu angati unajaira kukongola jabe sufuna kukongolesa wanzako nicho linavuto so muntu wachayo suangalire kuti kwabwera company from another country yabwera pesa chance ya kongola mwa muziva kuti ndimo muita benefit kalo vaije ndimo mpasa uja hapa saimwe ndalama iwo dandaule ni chipalizero hapa akakongole ku China ana machines yakabwera na China wonse na China conditions yamene vazampasa kuja ndiye amene mzasekeramu iyayi conditions yatu yanapusa ndiye amene tifunika kukonka chifukwa chakuti ndi we are beneficiaries iwo yakongola kulife so pano ndiye kuti road yonse paka ikafire ife tizambo fola zambo tuletera ndalama simungakondwe
zikoma vamusanje
amikira kafuru education ipitirizani chifukwa tifunika vantu vapunzire vayambe kuchita understand vintu vamene vinkalira mulungu akudaliseni
nainu zikoma Bobwera. That's our third call so far. But I would probably let you react for now quickly, then we can take another batch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Musanje, and I'm glad that the the water reticulation system that was put up last year, that we started putting up in Kanyama last year, is starting to bear fruits. Remember, the president said, "I do not want to see any shallow wells in Kanyama," and all shallow wells were buried, and proper water reticulation systems are being put in Kanyama. There's 100 million kwacha that has been put aside strictly for Kanyama water system and drainage. So we are happy that Mr. Musanje, who stays in Kanyama, is appreciating the positives that this program has brought in place. So thank you very much, Mr. Musanje. This government will continue to ensure that this year Kanyama is not the hotspot of cholera. I think we have already had cases of cholera across the country, but we have not yet had any case in Lusaka. It shows that the hotspot, which is Kanyama, is now being translated into a good place for people to live in. So thank you very much, Mr. Musanje. Keep on monitoring those projects as a citizen. That is your project. Where you feel that something is not being done right, you still have got the constitutional right to inquire and find out why that is being done that way. Now we come to Mr. David Kawe. We seem to have a lot of calls from Kawe today. Yeah. Kawe seems to be doing very fine.
Yeah.
He has brought out quite an array of issues that he thinks this government is full of nothing but lies. I like it because he says, us Zambians. Now, I tend to wonder whether Mr. Hichilema and me are from some other planet. You are excluding us when you say us Zambians. Mind you, we are also Zambians. Before we became UPND, or before Mr. Hichilema became Republican president, his first thing was that he was a Zambian. And actually, what made him president is because he's a Zambian. Now, coming to issues of load shedding, we said successive governments, or we confine ourselves to PF, did have a plan. Remember, we had 20 hours of load shedding. That should have been 2019. 20 hours of load shedding. Those statistics are there. You can check the media. You find that we had 20 hours of load shedding. Now, even with those 20 hours of load shedding, what measures did they put in place to ensure that there's resistance for future droughts? There was not even a single measure that was put. We all looked up to God. We prayed, and God answered our prayers. Enough rains came pouring, and we were happy. We all got excited that load shedding had ended. But we forgot that this is not it's not an issue of divinity. It's an issue of planning. Okay, people should have planned there and then. Post 2019, we saw people still pushing money into hydro. At that point, people should have started making plans to diversify the energy sector. They should have started making plans to diversify the electricity sector, which they didn't do. We said we have got the plans. President Hichilema said he has got plans on how to deal with these issues of load shedding. He has got plans to deal with issues of electricity. We came in power, unfortunately, for 2023, 2024, and we found ourselves in such a situation. Mr. Hichilema has to pray to God without any solution. He prayed to God. We all remember his prayer. He prayed to God, but on top of that, he put measures on the ground to ensure that future droughts do not find us wanting. We have just been talking about energy mix, so I'll not go further to explain what this government is doing to put up resistance in terms of drought with regards to electricity, a subsector. So that has already been explained, Mr. Banda, so I'll not belabor myself to explain on what this government is doing with issues of future load shedding.
Absolutely.
We come to issues of the rule of law. I think Mr. David is one of those that used to take pride in making our mothers' lives very difficult. You go to a market. If you go to Soweto market those days, if you are a farmer coming from, we had Madam Laima, who was our district or constituency chair lady for Chilanga. She has got a farm in Lusaka West. Every time she comes to Soweto market with her farm produce, the first thing they will do is they will make sure that just to offload that produce from the truck to the ground, she had to pay offloading fee to the cadres. Just to selling those products, she had to pay stand fee to the cadres, not to the council, but to the cadres. By the time she's finishing selling her produce, 50 or 60% of her earnings would have gone towards cadres. We have stopped that. Now, Madam Laima will bring her produce up to Soweto. she will offload and sell. The only levy she's going to pay is the one that goes to the council. The cadres are not charging her. That is what we call the rule of law. You go to intercity, you won't find those huge people in ripped muscle t-shirts with a big boot and a big hat telling you which bus to get on or get out. You won't find them at intercity. There's order there. Yes, you will find a few boys that will be telling you what because that is what that is how they end their living. But you won't find those that will even grab your shirt if you don't go to the bus that they want you to go to. That is the rule of the law. There are so many examples that this government can point at with regards to changing the mindset of our youths, the mindset of our cadres, the mindset of Zambians with in relation to the rule of law. So for people like David to come here and say the rule of law is challenging the way UPND is implementing its rule of law, gives us a reason to think that these are the people that are missing the days that PF allowed them to become naughty. And when we do that, they cry to the outside world that, no, we are abusing their rights. No, come on, man. We are not going to run a country of lawlessness. We are not going to have people just doing things the way they want them to be done, because if the law moves in, they will cry to somebody like some priest said over the weekend to Nayamkube. No, it doesn't work like that. I think we need order. So, Mr. David, if you think that what we are doing is wrong, you're in a wrong country at a wrong time, sir. We are going to continue making sure that cadres like you have got no space to continue abusing especially our old folk. The dual carriage way, Mr. Musanje has responded. This man, the country has got no money. Where did you think that we were going to get the money? He wanted us to go and borrow money from China, and then when we start paying back to a bank in China. This money has been borrowed from what's the name of this? NAPSA. I can tell him that workers' compensation is getting more than about 20 million every month from the Chirabombe Kasumbaresa, Chingora Chirabombe Kasumbaresa dual carriageway. They are getting about 20 million quite every month for the next, I don't know how many years it is that the concession period. That money remains in Zambian banks, not Chinese or any other bank. So that is what this man wanted us to do. He wanted us to go and borrow money from China, come and work on the road, and when the repaying period comes, we start paying back to a bank in China. No. This money will now remain in this country and will be used for any other development. I was just reading last week that NAPSA has grown its portfolio to about 8.5 billion. It is because of these same investments. That's why now your money, your pension money is safe with NAPSA, because NAPSA will always have the money to do these jobs. So anyway, KCM, we have already seen that there is production at the three KCM operating areas, Chingora, Chidabombe, and Chingora, Kitwe, and Nampundu. We are seeing that there's activities going on there. That's why now KCM is even able to sponsor $100,000 for students that want to do mining engineering at any of these universities, because now they have the money to do that. We have our contractors that are going back on board to go and start work. The people of Chingora now, they have got money because they know that tomorrow they'll wake up and they'll go down the pit. Yes, you can have issues with the data. Yes, we're not saying the data is 100%. But the data at the end of the day was the owner of the mine. He has always been the owner of the mine. Because PF did not like to follow the law, they misbehaved and wanted to grab Amaka, just because even their symbol was Amaka. They wanted to use Amaka to grab a mine from a law owner. It didn't work. It backfired in the face of the nation. And we also saw what happened. So can we just appreciate the environment that we are living in? The UPND has brought in such a sober environment that people like Mr. David now can say everybody is a liar from the top. You call the president a liar. It's freedom of expression. It is allowed. You go ahead and say that the president is a liar, because after all, it is within your rights. So anyway, as the UPND, I think Zambians are seeing what we have done so far in the last 3 years, and they are willing to give us a chance to go ahead and lay more developmental programs into 2031 under the leadership of President Cheelo.
This is the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue. Unfortunately, we will not be able to take more calls, but we really appreciate everybody else that has called in and participated and asked questions, and of course, made your opinions across. We really appreciate. Let's get to conclude our conversation. 2025. Outlook-wise, economy-wise, I mean, what are the projections? What is the party seeing?
Thank you very much, Mr. Banda. I think 2025, all things being equal, it looks like it's a very solid year. It's going to be a very good year because a number of programs have been laid. We are seeing the mining sector waking up from its slumber. You saw that the statistics are showing that we had a jump of 12% increase in our annual production in terms of copper. We have seen there's a new mine that has opened up in Mumbo here at Kitumba mine, right in Chief Kaindu's place. We have seen a number of mining companies coming up on board in Kalengwa and the like. So we, as a party and as a party in government, we are very positive and optimistic about 2025. The energy programs that have been put in place, the Chisamba 100 megawatts solar plant, and this and many others, we are very positive that 2025 will not be a bad year like 2024, because a lot of programs have been put, a lot of resilience has been grown. So as a party, as a government, we are very happy that President Hichilema, Mr. Msokotwana, and his economic team, I think, have put up a very good a case for us to interrogate. And we are hoping that going forward, as Zambians, will continue having these conversations, not churchy conversations, not pointing fingers at each other, but finding solutions. What should be done? As we are talking, Mr. Shirema is in Tanzania for that 300 Africa Energy Summit. So all these programs, once they start being rolled out, we are so sure that Zambia is going to be a very resilient country in terms of external shocks. You are aware that external shocks hit Zambia very badly. We do not have an economy that can withstand any external shock. But now we are putting up resilience, and we are so sure that the 6.4% GDP growth, if don't go up to 6.4, we are going to be above the 3-4% GDP growth. It means that we are growing from the -3 that we found this country growing in 2021. It is not an easy task. We have got a big task ahead of us. The heavens have opened. The food basket we know is going to improve this year. We are going to have enough food. If people even in my village in Chikangata, in Mongo, they are going to have enough food. Even when you are just in those sandy soils of Mongo, you are going to have enough food this year. So we are very positive and very optimistic that 2025 will be a very good year going into 2026. Petauke by-election, we are very optimistic of grabbing that seat from of course, it was an independent. We are also optimistic of grabbing Pambashe, and we are also optimistic of grabbing any other by-election that will come along the way. Chawama, be ready. We are hoping that Madam Speaker will listen to the people of Chawama this time around. We cannot have a constituency that has gone 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months without a member of parliament. Come on, this is a democracy. It's not a monarchy where somebody can go and stay somewhere else and think that they can rule a country remotely. So Chawama, be ready. We are coming. Very soon, we know that once the parliament opens, we are going to push that Chawama be declared. We need to move into Chawama. Chawama needs to have leadership. CDF activities are not happening in Chawama because there is no leadership there. We need somebody in there. We have seen Mr. Morgan Ingona has petitioned the Constitutional Court asking that it asks the National Assembly to declare Matero open. If all goes well, we are moving into Matero as well. So we are making sure that everybody has got the correct.
Yeah, I know, man. I can't wait to hear Miles respond to that. But yeah, we'll wait for that to happen.
Yeah, otherwise we are ready for Miles because he challenged us that we are only having by-elections in rural areas. We want to have a by-election in Matero and see how he's going to fare.
Mr. Katambo, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to have you here, and thank you so much. And we can only wish the party all the best in the coming by-elections. that is both in Petauke and Pambashe. And all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great. That's what we had for you today. And thank you very much for having been a part of the Tuesday's edition of The Burning Issue, and more so for having carried this program on your platforms. That is in the case of our partner radio stations, Tuta FM in Mansa. Thank you very much. And of course, Platinum Radio in Indola. We appreciate you. And we appreciate more sincerely Spice FM in Kawe. Definitely, we will be back this Thursday with yet another burning issue, and that's a Thursday edition. From us all is take care of yourselves and more so of each other. Bye-bye.
Tune in next week for another edition of The Burning Issue, and thank you for your participation.